All right, so the new trailer for Dune just dropped. I'm really excited.
I am
I
as
know
well.
you are. What are your before we go through the trailer and just pick some of our favorite images and what talk about what it looks like? What did you think about the trailer as a whole?
I think the one word that came to mind was just like epic, and like everyone like likes to throw that word around a lot. I feel, but I'm like this was like just the scale of this thing that is like presented. Like it's huge. Like, and I haven't yet. I've yet to seen the Lord of the Rings, or at least sit down and properly watch them. Like that's even then. That's the only thing I can think of in my head where I'm like, this is the only thing that could like just the cast and the visuals and just I don't know, just the way this film looks. It's like a huge scale of filmmaking, and I'm like, and I'm very excited to see how that all plays out. It's just an epic trailer, epic scale. What about you?
So I think this trailer achieves everything you need to as a trailer. I think one of the things is what is going on, what is the world we're in, and it's made very clear um, what we're going into, what's happening. There's war on the, they're on the brink of war. They're moving to this new planet, and it kind of starts off from there. I'm trying not to spoil anything because I've read the
Yeah,
book, so I'm just trying to go from the trailer. But it captures all of the characters really well. I think it captures what the conflicts are going to be, and who all the players in the game is, because Dune is very much a quote from the book. It's feints within feints within feints. It's kind of Game of Thrones. you know Everyone's pitted against each other. There are these warring factions, and there are layers to it. um the one that person's move, but they know you're going to do that, so on, so on. Feints within feints within feints, constantly said throughout the book. And it accomplishes that in the scale of the movie. Whether it's the set, you get little previews of set pieces. And here, why don't we start going through some of the images of what kind of goes on?
right.
And
Good.
let's start from the beginning here. Let's make sure this is working. All right, you get.
Yeah.
So we have right here the first part, um, which just kind of shows in a very straightforward way there is a battle looming on the horizon, and that's kind of the way they start the trailer. I just love how this is framed, and I think it kind of follows how everything else is going to be framed, kind of to come.
Yeah, very like just like a lot of detail and like events and motion captured in just like one image.
Yeah.
Great shot.
So here's another one, and I think one of the important things is how they capture the landscape in this trailer.
Mhm.
And I mean, this image is just next level. You
And
have
just
these.
and oh sorry,
Go
keep going.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, and like from what I understand, like Arrakis, the planet the movie takes place on, it's a very like just chaotic like landscape, correct?
That's very correct.
So is would it be a spoiler to explain like what like is happening here, or
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure where this is. Because Paul Atreides comes to Arrakis for, also known as Dune, but this could be his homeworld. I believe this is kind of the stormy weather. Leads me to believe that it is Dune
Mhm.
that they're in. And you can see, I just love if you can see my cursor here, the mountains with the lighting's just beautiful, and the clouds. And then here, if you look here, you have just the lightning within the clouds. The attention to detail in creating this landscape is so important to the sci-fi genre in general. If you've seen Blade Runner 2049, you know that that world is very vast, but it's how Denis Villeneuve captures that world through cinematography and visuals that makes you feel like it's a place different than the world that we live in. And I think that trailer really accomplishes that.
Mhm.
Um, and just things that kind of further show the scale of the film. I mean, you see these massive um, ships here, it's not clear whether they're warships or transports as the Atreides family is going to Arrakis, but you see just the scale of people and the ships, and you're like, oh, this isn't a small sci-fi film. This is like a Star Wars, Lord of the Rings,
Mhm.
massive epic. Also, stop me at any time when you want
Yeah,
to
I
talk
guess.
about an image. On to the next one. We have
Ah,
this
this is my
image.
my personal favorite shot in this. I've got to say, just because everything that comes before it was like built like it was like a very like yeah, the first shot was like smoke and like the battle going on in the background, but then you also have like the sands of Arrakis just before, and then here you have this very I believe in right before we started I said I compared it to Attack of the Clones, and just like it very much reminds me of that last shot of that last Star Wars movie, just because look at like you got so much depth, you got so much like uh I guess information in a way, just the scale of the army, and I don't know, it's like a beautifully framed shot. You got the tower or building right in the middle, like giving it almost a symmetric look.
Right.
You know, beautiful
What
shot.
I what I'm really curious about is where this image is taken from. There are a bunch of different planets that are kind of in the existence of the book Dune, and they're different houses, right? Each house has their own planet. And so there's the Harkonnens, who will later talk about a specific image of Stellan Skarsgård
Mm-hmm.
as the head of House Harkonnen. But I'm wondering if this is him and his army from his homeworld, or if this is from a different part of the book, and this is the Emperor's himself's army, who's kind of a hidden, not necessarily a hidden, but the overarching villain that you don't really
Right.
see as much, like in Star Wars. And I agree with you, the Attack of the Clones kind of vibe, but it feels like the darkness and the grittiness
Yeah.
that you need. And I think a lot of that comes from the sky.
Yes, very
Um,
much. And I love how like even though everything is gray, like you can still like pinpoint like nothing bleeds into each other. Like I guess a part of it has to be like the streaks of white that are coming out. Like everything is still like detailed, and you can still tell what's like what is what. Um, and, yeah, and the use of the color gray was just a very was like what you were saying, perfectly illuminated everything that you need to know about like what's going on.
yeah, and just beautiful cinematography in general. I don't know who the cinematographer on this film is, but I mean, props to them because this is absolutely gorgeous. The thing that makes me think it's probably the Emperor's army is the statue right here.
Mhm.
And while it could be Stellan Skarsgård's character, I believe it's probably the Emperor. It just seems to me more symbolically um, linked.
Right. Okay.
And based
Understood.
on some stuff I don't want to spoil about the book, I think it makes more sense to me. So moving on to our next image, we have Dave Bautista um, in his new role. He's kind of the House Harkonnen's enforcer.
And I remember during one of our previously filmed episodes, you were saying that this was the casting you felt was most like on point. Like you said everyone was on point, but you said particularly Batista as Glosso Rabin. I believe that's the name how you pronounce it.
Yeah, Raban. Yeah,
Rabban. Okay. Got it.
yeah, yeah. I think it's perfect because he's kind of like this brute who's more of the like strength and pure force and kind of ruthlessness, rather than I'm blanking on the name of the head of the House Harkonnens. Um,
The Baron.
Baron Harkonnen. That's correct. But who's more of the brains? But he just he's so physically imposing in general because he's just this massive dude. But the makeup on him is fantastic.
Oh,
If you look at the back of his head and the scars back there, you just get this feeling right away. This is a guy who's been through war. He's been fighting his whole life, and you kind of get that whole backstory through
yeah.
one image.
And also, what's interesting is that that first batch of photos and the photos they've been releasing since, like all the characters they've shown have looked like human, like they've retained their like natural look in a way. But I remember when I saw this for the first time, I saw Batista like look like this. I was like caught off guard, just and like in shock because I was like, I don't know, I was like, I wasn't sure what the like alien like look of the people were. So this was a very um like I saw it was Batista, but I also like didn't recognize him, and I was like, props to the makeup team, like what a great job they did on him.
Yeah, he looks almost deathly ill.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of vibe that you get that I think is really key in capturing his character. Moving on, we have Baron Harkonnen himself coming out of what I think is an oil bath. Yes, that you heard me correctly, an oil bath, I believe. Um, and just talk about in the book, he's this massive, like gross kind of dude who's just like a pure evil. And I think I can speak for myself. I don't know what your thoughts are. He just looks like just absolutely disgusting.
I did. I mean, I didn't. I haven't read the book yet. I promised the viewers I will read it by the time. Hopefully, this comes out by in December. But I didn't. I didn't realize that was supposed to be the Baron. But all I can tell you is that when I did see him, I was just kind of like with Batista's makeup. I was just kind of like in shock, just because I was like, I mean, look at this guy. He looks like he's coming out of this murky liquid. He's covered in it, and he's like big. Like I don't know. He's like a very like repulsive image in a way. So I guess judging from what you said, it got the point across. Just like very I don't know, it's very just like strange image. I didn't know what I was looking at. And like I replayed the trailer like a few times already, but I didn't know what I was looking at. All I knew was like very like repulsive, strange, like presence right here. So I think again, I makeup job. Can't even recognize Skarsgård. You know.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I think they really tried to hide the Baron Harkonnen
Mm-hmm.
in kind of the final reveal of what he's exactly going to look like in the trailer.
Right.
Because that was a big part of the 1984 version of Dune that people were really upset about,
Mm-hmm.
is that it just kind of didn't fit what the book
Okay.
um, kind of described him as.
Right.
It was it was very repulsive, but in a very different kind of. It
Yeah.
was a David Lynch movie, so it was in its own kind of weird way,
Right.
which can be for good or for bad. So moving on to our final image, and I'll pull up one more in a few minutes before we wrap up talking about the trailer. We have the sandworm, and I believe we have Paul Atreides here. Um, what were your thoughts on this image?
Well, first, like just to see like again like the way he's like scaled like our larger than life characters against the even just like crazy larger already like parts of Arrakis like the ships and now the creatures like it felt very like because I don't know for me like they put Timothy Chalamet like front and center. He was this protagonist character, our hero, and then now look he's like dwarfed by this like incredible like unnerving creature. And I even noticed like rewatching it, like you see the thing like breathing and like the little parts of it like inside of it like moving. And I like just like it just that whole like just like 3 seconds was just very like imposing, and like the rest of the shots we've been talking about, just very like powerful stuff. It, like
Mhm.
really provokes like an emotion. And also apparently I've read that Denis Villeneuve took like a year to like perfect the design of the sandworm. So if that doesn't speak to the craftsmanship of, or at least the level of passion he put into this thing, I don't know what else would be a good example other
Yeah,
than what you said.
I can't imagine how difficult that must have been.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because that's something that they really leave up to your imagination in the book of what it looks like. And
Mm-hmm.
so creating something that not only looks like a massive worm, but also looks intimidating and at the same time is breathtaking.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine how hard that is, especially working with VFX teams and
Mhm.
concept artists. That
Right.
must have been insanely difficult.
Yeah, like you say sandworm, and I guarantee you, at least speaking from what I can anticipate from my friends, they'll think the Alaskan bullworm from SpongeBob or something like that. So to like come up with like this like just like completely different design that I don't think I could have like particularly imagined, like just from the word sandworm, like I don't know, like this is like props to Villeneuve, props to the visual effects team, like just a very awe-inspiring just like moment and design.
Yeah. All right. So this is the final image of the trailer. So what are your thoughts on the trailer overall?
Um, to echo what you said in the beginning, it did everything in like for me, the best trailers are the ones that tell you exactly what the movie's about without telling
Mm-hmm.
you what the movie is supposed to be about. Like you get this sense of chaos like looming, that there's this greater like these larger series of events that are unfolding, but they don't tell you like oh like they don't tell you what the spice is, they don't telegraph like the necessary like there's like oh there's a like a full on like rivalry between these two houses, so we still get the sense of chaos, of grimness, of just like power plays happening between like between the nature of Arrakis, between the nature of the people. So I think just great trailer overall, and whoever edited what's the song Pink Floyd's Eclipse into it, that
Mm-hmm.
was the song they used. That was an inspired choice. It was done very well. So overall, just I was already excited. Like they could not have, they could have made the choice to not show a trailer, and I would have shown up one time, two, through four times to the movie theater to watch this anyway. So very impressed with the scale of the trailer, and it was everything I expected, knowing the people behind it.
Yeah, definitely. There is one more image I want to quickly show because I know this is one of my biggest questions coming
Mhm.
into the film is how their shields are going to look. And we have this scene. I'm going to play it at the risk of perhaps getting
Copyright.
copyright stricken. Hopefully not.
This footage does not belong to us.
Nope. But this is, you can see the still suits, or not the still suits, pardon me, the shields in that
Mhm.
short um, clip. I wanted to ask you how they look to you.
I think, well, for me, I took it. Are they, to ask you something, just to clarify?
Yeah.
Are these like shields, like Captain America? Or are they like a force field, like suit type thing? Or
Um, they're kind of like a force field type suit thing. I'd say
okay,
more than anything else.
okay, because that was what I got. Seeing as how like in this shot you pause um Paul and Josh Brolin are just like going at it. I I like the look. I've um I had no expectations in regards to like oh like how does the tech displayed. I think it's gonna be a cool visual, especially since like it looks like they like you can't tell the shields are really on until like someone like hits them. So I think that'll be an interesting visual. And also there's a later part in the trailer when they're like fighting and they have the other side is like red. I'm not sure if you can get that part.
Yeah, yeah, the one with Jason Momoa going ham.
Yeah, and then it's like there's like red and blue. I don't know if those were explicitly stated colors in the book, but like I thought like takes after George Lucas, like the classic, like good, evil, like it's gonna be a very straightforward, like who's on who, like who's with who. I think it's right around there, something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying
Um,
to.
so I think it'll be a very, especially since like the costumes are very like not the most dynamic thing in regards to color. I think this will be an uh interesting way to like spice up like battle sequences. So it's not just armies of gray colliding on armies of gray. There'll be flashes of blue, red. I think that'll be that'll be a really cool effect.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just trying to. I'm not screen sharing so I can avoid a copyright
Yeah.
strike.
No, we
But
all gonna.
I completely agree with you on kind of the clear good versus evil. Uh, but I think it will get messier as time goes on.
Okay. Got you.
I think that's an important thing to note. Another thing I'll say is that I agree with you on the Star Wars thing, but one of the really interesting things is the book Dune is very much, I believe, an inspiration for uh, Star Wars in
Right.
a lot of ways, along with Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, and there are a few other movies I think that are very influential on George Lucas making
Right.
Star Wars.
If compared to the scale, like the world building George Lucas pulled off into even the world building glimpsed here, and you can already see like the epic, like again, the epic scale of, that was going on in both these guys' imagination.
Yeah, and here I pulled up the image finally. There's Jason Momoa. You can't really see him here, just kicking ass as usual. And yeah, you have the blue still suit here. You got a guy with the red still suit there. He just seems to be going off.
That
Um,
was, that was the other thing. Like I remember the last time we discussed Dune, you said like certain people would not be as large of a player, and one of them was Jason Momoa. But I was just really glad they gave Jason Momoa like a few seconds of screen time in the trailer. I love the guy. I think he's awesome.
yeah,
So good to see him once again, kicking ass, going ham.
yeah, definitely. I think that his role looks like it's going to be a bigger role than it is in the book, to be
That's
perfectly
interesting. That's
honest.
interesting to hear.
I think it's also because making a movie out of Dune, you have to rev up some of the action.
Yeah.
And I think he's in a lot of the action, and it's some of it's kind of like off screen, but in a book way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
and I think they're putting that on screen, and you're seeing that on display
That's
um,
awesome. It's good to
there.
hear.
So overall, I think we're both really excited for this trailer. I can't wait to see it. I
Here's
really
hoping.
hope it sticks to that release date, and we can
Here's
all
hoping
go
it's
to
safe.
movie theaters by
It's a
then to
little
see
safer
it.
for us to go out.
Yeah, that's kind of the hope, but you know, today you never know what's going to happen with this whole COVID situation, so
Right.
we kind of take it as we go.
Right.
All right, thanks for
Yes.
watching.